about some of the places you've been recreationally.
Well, Barb and I try to do a lot of travel. And I'll tell you, when you get older, you look back and the things you have are memories mainly. That things, possessions don't amount to much. And so unconsciously, I guess, we developed a lot of memories. And Barb and I wanted to travel a lot, and she was, as I mentioned, a very gregarious person, and she was on the on television for the $25,000 pyramid, and that was a program that you had to answer questions and so on, but then they had some pretty good prizes. Well, Barbara went on that program, and she did really well and won a trip to Australia for two. And there was touch and go for a while whether she was going to invite me to go or not, but she finally agreed to. So we flew to Australia, and I had heard about the Blue Lagoon cruise that they had over there. So we asked the travel agent if we could include the Blue Lagoon cruise in our trip to Australia, which they arranged. And so it ended up as we flew over to Australia. We went to Sydney, and then we took a tour around there. We went over what they call the coat hanger, which is a bridge that crosses part of the bay there. And we went up to Manly, which is a nude beach sometimes. And
when in Rome, right?
Yeah, yes, and so, but we didn't see much. and then I realized looking out that the ocean was the Coral Sea that I heard of during World War II, the big stories about the Battle of the Coral Sea. So that brought it home to me a little bit. So then we went up to the northern part. We went up to the northern part of Australia to a place near the Great Barrier Reef. I couldn't think of Great Barrier Reef, and we went out on a boat, and then I did some scuba diving there and went down and touched one of those large clams you hear about. It was open, and I tapped it, and it gradually started slowly closing, and I was quite impressed with that. And so then Barbara got on what they called the submarine, and that was a boat that they had that almost 90% of the boat was underwater with big windows, and she sat there and she could see me scuba diving down there, or not scuba, but snorkeling. And so we did that, and then coming back on our way back from Australia on our flight, we stopped in the Fiji Islands and went on a cruise with a native crew members, and we had about 7 staterooms on the boat, and the crew was made up of natives, which were during many years back were cannibals, but they all seemed very friendly to us, and they particularly liked little kids. They were treating the little kids on the boat all the time, having fun with them. But they took us out to different desert islands, you might call them, and climbed up coconut trees and cut off coconuts and brought them down and hacked off the husk and give us coconut milk to drink. And so we just had all kinds of fun swimming in the lagoons and that, and taking a tour around the Fiji Islands. And then we flew home from there. And then another time we were taking a trip back to New England. We went back to New England about 3 times, I believe. We flew back a couple times and rented cars and toured New England and saw all the fall colors. And one time Joy met us back there and went with us on part of the tour. And part of our, I shouldn't call it a tour because we just did what we wanted to do with a rented car. And so I just found New England fascinating with so much history on it. And then one of our excursions out of San Diego, we went up to Temecula, and on the way up there, or past Temecula, we stopped at a dairy, and it was run by some Dutch people. And I mentioned that I had been on this Operation Chowhound, and the lady that ran the place ran out from behind the counter and gave me a great big hug. And she was there and saw our bombers coming over and dropped the food to them, and she said they were so grateful. And that was kind of a thrill to meet somebody like that. And then we took a trip to Alaska. I bought a motorhome, and we drove up. We took about close to 3 months going up through Canada and the Yukon and over into Alaska and to Fairbanks and down to Denali and to the Denali Park and down to Anchorage. And then we met some friends, the Fosters, that their family lived there, and they were in our school group that used to travel together down here in La Mesa. And so we met them, and they took us around showing them different parts of the area, and also some of their family invited us over to a 4th of July party and had a wonderful time with them and all their relatives. And that's how big trip, I think. I really enjoyed Alaska, a wonderful place, and we, by driving it ourselves, we just did what we wanted to do when we wanted to do it. So, and then we worked our way home.